Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Gas South District's That's the Ticket, the ultimate podcast exploring all things Gas South District and a source for insights to events on campus and discussions on the wider entertainment and tourism industry. Please welcome the host of our show, Stan Hall, CEO of Gas South District and Explore Gwinnett.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of That's the Ticket, where we take you behind the scenes of the people, partnerships, and ideas shaping the world of sports, entertainments, and live events. I'm your host, Stan Hall, President and CEO of Gas South District and Explore Gwinnett. Today, we're shining a spotlight on three incredible organizations that were selected as this year's Good Neighbor Project partners. The Good Neighbor Project is about more than just financial support. It's about meaningful partnerships, sharing important stories, and helping connect our community with organizations that are making a difference every day. If you'd like to learn more about the initiative itself, be sure to check out our recent episode with Michelle Bryan. Joining me today are Jen Young, Executive Director of Impact 46, Britt Ramroop, CEO of Gwinnett Police Foundation, and Claudia Keliher, CEO of StreetWise Georgia. Each of these organizations serves a unique need in our community, and I'm excited for our listeners to hear about their missions, the lives they are impacting, and how all of us can play a role in supporting their work. So to everyone, Jen, Brett, Claudia, thank you all for being with us today. I'm excited for this conversation, and let's just get started. Most of the questions today, ladies, I'm going to throw them out to everyone. So whatever we're talking about today, just feel free to jump in with any comments you have about that question, and we'll get a good overview of everyone's organization. So first of all, tell us about yourself, your organization, and the people that you serve. And Claudia, you're sitting close to me, so I'm going to start with you, okay?
Sounds great. So I'm Claudia Keliher. I'm the CEO of StreetWise Georgia for all of 3 months now. We're a Christ-centered ministry that really just serves people by loving them and meeting their needs. And so we come alongside families in our community who need clothing, who need food, and just need hope.
Yeah.
In what their situation is.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Britt?
Well, I'm Britt Ramroop. I'm CEO of Gwinnett County Police Foundation, which I love that it is 26 years old, but I have been on board now for a year, and I'm their very first full-time employee. It's a special organization that was developed to support the men and women of the Gwinnett County Police Department.
Oh, perfect. And Jen?
I'm Jen Young, Executive Director for Impact 46. We are a place-based nonprofit that focuses on community development in Lawrenceville. We have two key programs, student development and housing stabilization.
Okay. All very important things, and certainly things we're excited to share with our Good Neighbor Project. So I'm always interested in how people landed in the roles that they're in, and I always look at my story, which is a unique one as well. So, Claudia, tell us a little bit about what drew you personally to the mission of your organization.
Yeah, so mine is really personal. So I came to the U.S. as an immigrant with my parents, and when we came from Costa Rica to Chicago.
Costa Rica,
yes,
okay.
And in the dead of winter, and so we had a wonderful church that helped provide our family with clothing, and then we were helped by a food pantry that helped us, and so it's always been something that's been such dear to my heart. The generosity, the people
Right.
then really made such an impact. For me, the dignity piece is super important, and how we serve people. That opportunity for me to see at such an early stage of my life to be cared for in that way and not feel any shame because the people really cared about the dignity piece. That's super important to me.
No, I think that's wonderful. Because you've been on the other side of that
Yeah.
conversation before. And, sometimes they are worried about what the reaction might be, but you can say, hey, I've been sitting in the same seat you're in before. So
Absolutely.
that really does add to your uniqueness for the role, for sure.
Absolutely. And so I got the opportunity to serve on our board. I worked right alongside with our executive director at the time, Tracy. He sadly passed away this past January. And so I really
Great guy.
felt, oh, yeah,
Great guy.
such a great guy. And my background was in fundraising, and I used to help him with the fundraising part of
Okay.
StreetWise, and
Yeah.
really just felt a call to come alongside StreetWise in this season. And so here I am.
Well, thank you for that. Britt, tell us a little bit about, I know a little bit about you. Britt's working with an organization that's near and dear to my heart, but tell us how you sort of came to be where you are.
Yeah, I stumbled into the role, I suppose.
Pushed into the role is the way I would call it.
Okay, yeah, so I was pushed. No, Gwinnett community has always been something I've been very proud of. I'm not originally from Georgia. I'm a transplant from Wyoming, and being in Gwinnett has always just felt like family. And it's a huge community that really supports and uplifts. And I was taking some time for myself and to be with my family, and I was working with the nonprofits, which are just near and dear to my heart, because without that heartbeat of people serving other people, we just don't have that strong, powerful community, and everybody needs a little hand up every now and then. And so anything that I could do in that nonprofit realm was always of interest to me. When I was taking some time, I was asked to come and work alongside the Police Foundation, and I grew to love it. I'm not from a family of law enforcement. I have no idea anything, but I know about people and I know about the hearts. And this mission just resonated so much with me, because it's like, if we are not taking care of the men and the women who are going out and putting their life on the line for us every day, and their families, the families was a huge draw, because you leave home every day and you kiss your loved ones goodbye. You never know what's going to happen.
You don't.
You just don't. And so to be in a position where we can help when the unknown happens, help when the struggles hit, because all of our officers and their families are just, and the employees of the department, go a little bit broader there. They all struggle. They're all human. They're just like everybody else. And so if they need a hand up, if they need just that little help to get over a hurdle, we're in a position that we can do that. So being focused, I tossed my name in the hat, and here I am.
She tossed her name in the hat, and then we covered the hat up. Went something like that. So what about you, Jen?
Yeah, so my story actually in nonprofit world, specifically in community development, began in Augusta, Georgia. So I went to school in Augusta. And when I stayed there, I was on staff with a college ministry and a part of First Presbyterian Church in Augusta. And we got a new pastor. And he came in, and if you're not familiar with Augusta, everybody knows the Masters. But it's a very unique city, very old city. And where the church is located is in the downtown part of the city. And so they had some issues with a lot of the schools. There was a lot of homeless, and there was just a lot of crime. And so our pastor came in, and I'll never forget it. And he just, you would never recommend this to a new pastor, but he was just like, I want to kind of rebuke this congregation. Here sits this beautiful church. Everyone here drives wonderful cars, nice, new. You guys all look put together. But when we leave this city, and we leave it in ruins.
Yeah.
And so he really challenged us to think about how to love our city. And that revolutionized my mind when it came to what does it mean to be a Christ follower in your city and to love your city well. And so he challenged a bunch of us to kind of buy houses that were falling apart, take care of them, rebuild them, redevelop the city. And we did. And we got to know people we would have never rubbed shoulders with, never would have gotten to know, became friends with prostitutes and drug dealers, and started doing after-school programs for their kids. And what we realized is that we all had things in common, and we had a lot of differences, but what we had that really brought us together was a place. And so for us, that really helped me kind of understand why place is so important and where you grow up. And if you don't really love it there, you want to escape. But if you do love it, you give it everything you have. And so I fell in love with the work of community development and moved back up here in 2014. I'm from Lawrenceville. and moved back up here and came on staff in 2018 with Impact 46, and I'm doing this work ever since.
That's a great story. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing that. I really wasn't sure about your past. We've met a few times. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
about, so I'm glad to hear all that information as well. It's a good story.
Thank you.
So we opened up the show. You all were telling us about what your missions are and what you do. Just sort of flip that over a little bit. What's the biggest challenges that you face in trying to meet the goals of your organization each day?
Well, I would say that Gwinnett County has grown so much, and along with that is a need as
Mm-hmm.
well. So the need has grown just as much as Gwinnett County has, and so I would say that for us, it's really trying to keep up with the need
Mm-hmm.
and trying to serve as many people as we can that are in need of just the basics, just food and clothing, and how do they get out of this situation? So I would say that's our biggest challenge for sure.
You know, I've lived in Gwinnett my whole life, and I think there's some truth to people don't always want to hear the message that you're delivering
Mm,
because I think in some ways that scares them about the community they might live in as far as the way, like you said, Gwinnett has changed a lot. That doesn't mean that it's changed for the worse. It means that it's changed.
right.
It's changed in numbers, which create issues that may or may not have been present before. But have you had that issue with people going, I don't really want to talk about homelessness or people not having food or whatever it might be? Do you have any of that?
I've experienced people feeling uncomfortable about it for
Yeah.
sure. But I think overwhelmingly it's the other way. People
I
want to
hope it
help.
is. I hope it
People
is.
want to help. They,
Yeah.
they realize. I mean, there's a lot of people who are in situations that they never could have imagined they would
Right.
be in.
Right.
Just with the economy and how things have changed. Just recently, I had one of our mobile food pantries. I love to do check-in because I love to just talk to the people and
Hmm.
hear their stories. And we had someone come through and say, we used to volunteer here,
Hmm.
and here we are today.
There you go.
And so, we just never know who we're serving, and sometimes they could be on either side of that window, right? And so I think it is incredibly encouraging how many people want to come alongside us to help
That's
and
great, though.
understand that.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Britt, what about you? What challenges have you been facing to try to get your job done out there? So,
I think the biggest challenge is that we're serving the superheroes, right?
Mm,
You see them in uniform and they have these capes, and it's both sides of it. It's from an officer standpoint, being able to ask for help. That's just not an easy
the
thing to do.
surprise of it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're
mm,
wearing a uniform or not wearing
Yeah.
a uniform. It's
Yeah.
just hard to ask for help, period.
Yeah.
And getting to
right.
that point, right? And for them to know that we're here and we're here to serve them in the most compassionate way that we possibly can. And then on the flip side, being out in the community, and a lot of the community doesn't even know that we exist, that there is a way to help and to support. That we're lucky in Gwinnett because, as you were saying, Claudia, that there is a lot of care and compassion and support here, and they love law enforcement. I mean, there's always those nasty comments on Facebook or whatever, but for the most part, everybody I run into is, I love our law enforcement officers. I love what they're doing, and they're keeping us safe. They have no way to know that they needed help
Yeah.
and that you could support them. So it's really trying to get over, they aren't superheroes. They are people just like
Yeah.
you and I, and they need help. We want to help them, and the community wants to help, and they want to support as well.
I think that, law enforcement has been under a really ugly microscope for a few years based on
Absolutely.
some things
Mm-hmm.
they cause themselves. And I'm talking about a topic that I know a little bit about and love completely.
Mm,
But have you had any backlash from, I tell everybody 99.9% of police officers are the best people that you could ever ask for. But the only ones we hear about is that point, one
Correct.
that does something, and then everyone gets categorized and included in that bad grouping.
Yeah.
Have you heard about anything that has caused you? Maybe you're out talking to somebody and they'll go, I don't know if I want to get involved. Anything like
I
that?
wouldn't say that they're questions, but I do try to strike it down as fast as I can.
Yes.
I like to say that I would consider our department a unicorn department because the
I would too.
national headlines are not Gwinnett County.
No.
They're national headlines and they're their own cities. But when you get to Gwinnett and the leadership that is over at the department, if anything remotely stinky comes up, it's squashed, it's fixed, you're fired, you're demoted, you're sitting on a desk, you're like, we don't play games. But for the most part, and because it starts at the top and works its way down, I'll continue to say it. We're a unicorn department. Like it's really, really special, and it's a great, strong family that I've had great pleasure of working with and getting to know from the inside out.
I think it's true. In Gwinnett, we talk about we're the best at everything, which I believe to be pretty true. In that sense, for law enforcement, I do think Gwinnett has one of the best police departments in this entire country. I mean, I would put them up against anybody for sure. So
there are high expectations.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable!
Those men and women of the department, whether they're sworn or not, are rising to the occasion every
one of them. Jen, what about Impact 46 challenges?
Yeah, so I think it's twofold for us. One, because we do homelessness prevention and housing stabilization, is helping the community understand that the way that we help people is not linear. So a lot of times people want to propose linear solutions. Well, just get them a house, just get them a job, just get a car, and it's not easy. If it was easy, we would obviously do those things. And so I think that's one of the things to help people understand about what we do and why it takes time and resources and long-term commitment. And then the second is because we do student development, it's not recovery work, so it's not sexy. We're trying to prevent a lot of things. We're developing the community so that every student that we come into contact with has opportunity, has a space and a place to thrive. And so we're not telling the sad stories.
Yeah.
We're telling, the good stuff. And so sometimes that's hard to raise money for.
Yeah.
But it's preventative. And so we really want to be, if Gwinnett wants to be great, we got to be great at opportunity. And so
recognition.
There was a pastor that I used to follow, and he said, you repeat what you celebrate, good or bad. And so we take that to heart in that we celebrate the heck out of our students because we want that to be what our community promotes. A lot of times with the schools we work with, they get the bad press, kind of that 1%, they do one thing wrong, but that's the only thing that's promoted. And it's hurtful to those kids and their parents because there's phenomenal students and families and talent coming out of these schools. And we want to make sure that we're celebrating all the good things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that for all of you and for me as well, we all know what we want to accomplish in our jobs every day, and particularly for you three working for nonprofits. Can you think of a story that has reminded you about, yes, this is why I'm doing this. This is why this organization is important. Anything that comes to mind with the three of you? So.
Absolutely. I'll go first.
Okay. You got something on your mind, right?
Yes. Well, we had a big event. I mean, I've told our board that it was supposed to be a couple years before I had to deal with the tragedy that we dealt with back in February when we had the officer-involved shootings where we lost an officer, Officer Pradeep Tamang, and then we also had injured Officer David Reed.
Yes.
That is the reason that I'm here. That is the reason that the foundation exists. There are the little things. There is the financial hurdles that you need assistance with. We had our scholarship day last Friday and got to award 7 scholarships to graduated high school seniors. It's fun to give money away. But when they need people the most and the community needs to know where to go, the support is there. And the community was able to donate to help both the officers and their families. The officers didn't have to think twice about it. Their families didn't have to think twice about it. We had everything set up and ready to go. We were able to accept donations on their behalf and then turn around and support the families the way they needed to be supported through funerals, through bills, through recovery, all of that. So that is,
like you said, you wasn't expecting that so quickly, but it was a very quick recognition, as you said. This is why we're here. So absolutely. What, Claudia, anything come to mind?
Well, that just gives me such joy to know, I first of all, I'm just so privileged to be with you three ladies. And thank you, Stan, for giving us the opportunity as I think through the different ways that people have come through Streetwise. I mentioned before that I love to do check-in at Mobile Food Pantry because it's just an opportunity to check in with our clients that we're serving in a way that we can even ask them, how can we serve you better? But in that same Mobile Food Pantry that I was talking to, and that lady I mentioned earlier, there was another lady that came through, and she had just lost her mom a few weeks ago, and then shortly thereafter lost her job.
Mm.
And so two losses like that back to back, and the need was so great, and the heaviness that she felt in that moment, and for us to just be able to come alongside her, provide her not just the food, but just the encouragement. When you come and you do a mobile food pantry on a Saturday, they drive around the building, so they never get out. It starts at check-in. We really encourage them. We check them in, and then they'll come around, and where volunteers will just load their trunks up with a ton of food that'll last them at least 4 weeks, and then they come around for prayer. And so that piece of the prayer piece too is super important for us too, because it gives them the opportunity to just share that burden with someone, and then feel seen and feel heard, and then just taken to the Lord in prayer. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's perfect. That's perfect. Jen,
yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind for me is we did a hotel relocation project back in 2020 in Lawrenceville and partnered with the city of Lawrenceville. And that's where we take families that are living in extended stay hotels and we relocate them and provide down payment assistance to move into an actual home. A lot of families are using extended stays as makeshift shelters and apartments and paying weekly. And so we came across this one family. It was a single dad and he had several children. And one of his kids, they had lived there so long that the kid moved in when he was in kindergarten at Lawrenceville Elementary and was about to graduate high school at Central Gwinnett. And so he had
Really?
lived in the same hotel room all throughout his school. And we were able to relocate them right before he graduated. And so he's graduating one, which was just commending the family for being able to graduate kids and living in a hotel. That's got to be extremely hard. But just thinking about that kid's future and the fact that he was now able to have a stable home, an actual home, not a hotel room, but a home. And now I think why it comes to mind is, that was demolished and now a neighborhood is going in place of that location. And so it's really full circle in seeing kind of the redevelopment of that area, but also thinking about that kid and his future.
Exactly. That's a great story, too.
Thank you.
I think the fact that you three are together today, it speaks well of Gwinnett County has so many nonprofits that operate here. Y'all are just three of, I don't know how many, but I'm sure 100 or so nonprofits that are located in Gwinnett County. But I think it offers an opportunity for us to talk a little bit about today. When you think about the organizations we have, no one can really stand on their own and do this work alone. And just as the three of you are gathered today, why are partnerships so important with the organizations that you work with today? And anybody can just jump in here if you have a thought on that. So
I could start. So, I sit here in partnership with these three women and multiple other partners. And, we can't do what we do without significant partnerships within our nonprofit community. I think about what happened in COVID and the devastation, and the nonprofits got to work. We didn't take any time off. We really helped communities pick up and rebuild where they needed. But for us, we don't want to duplicate services. So we don't want to just create another food pantry. So we work with StreetWise for food boxes for the men that we serve. We work directly with the Lawrenceville Police Department and the Sheriff's Office and Gwinnett County Police when we're getting referrals for homeless men and mental health support services. So for us to be able to assist people long term, it takes partnerships, it takes collaborations, because it allows us to go both wide and deep in the community without duplicating or competing.
that's perfect.
And I'll just I'm going to say the exact same thing, piggybacking off of Jen. And I think, again, what makes Gwinnett special in this is that we don't see each other as competition. We very much are there to uplift the community. And from where I stand, I'm seeing the struggles that a lot of nonprofits are seeing. I see it with the men and women of the department, but to know if there is an issue that arises, one, for them, I can reach out on behalf of them. I can make some phone calls because I know other nonprofit leaders who are working in that space. But I've also told our recruits when I've been talking to them that once you get out on the road, look at me as a resource. You're going to run into more people that need help. And if you don't know what those resources are, I'm one phone call away. Just pick up your phone and call me and say, do you know anybody who can help with this situation? Because then we just get to connect. And the power of that connection just builds the entire community because you can get where you need to be in a quicker manner than finding the old yellow pages and going, who's going to help me? Who can help me now? Who can help me now?
Yeah.
Because you know what resources are there.
Absolutely.
I would say that one of the most encouraging things since I've started, and I've been on the job all 3 months, but one of the most encouraging things has been just a community of nonprofits that we all really do genuinely care about the people we're serving. And like Britt said, it's not a competition. We really want, we want to uniquely care for them. And in order for us to do that, there's no way we can do everything. I can't serve someone who's, needs food and then give them job, training or, come alongside them with, homelessness and dealing with things that we can't address. And if we start getting into that, then we start kind of, putting ourselves in a position where now we can't serve them well. And so the partnership is the piece that's so important. And it's been so encouraging as I've talked to a lot of nonprofit leaders in this space that they're all willing to work together, that we're willing to call each other and say, hey, I have a family, can I refer them to you? And that kind of thing. If we didn't have that, one of our core values for us is better together. And that is the truth for not StreetWise, but all around Gwinnett County. I've seen that over and over.
Yeah, I've always been really proud and just a little bit in awe of how closely you guys are connected with, you name a topic, Britt knows somebody that can call, you two know somebody you can call. It doesn't matter what the topic is. And without that connection that you guys have made organically based on what you do, it would be like, as Britt said, find the yellow pages, who does this, who does that. And when the conversation comes up, I know who does that, and I know I'm willing enough to pick up the phone and call them. So I think that's just wonderful.
And I love the trust part of it because I think because we know we do it really well, each of us does that, and then the other partners as well. We can trust each other to know that the person that we're going to send them is going to be taken care of. So
there's no doubt about it.
Wonderful.
The nonprofit world, all of the good stuff that you guys do, I think the challenge that none of you discuss is just the financial backing that's required to make these things work, right? I don't care what the best idea might be, but if you don't have something that from a financial perspective, that you can't put that into motion, it becomes very difficult. So that's obviously a very important thing for all of you. But not only when a business chooses to support your organization, not only financially, but when they offer to help you in other ways to tell your story, is that also just as important to you?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been told a lot, especially at StreetWise, that we're the best kept secret. And that grieves me because I don't want to be the best kept secret. I want to be able to tell our story and share it with others and for them to understand that we're here to support our neighbors in need. And so the storytelling, the stories of impact that really makes, really help us tell those stories and tell the story of StreetWise and how we're coming alongside them to just help them. That's the piece that's really important when we have partners who come alongside us that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, the telling of the stories, the awareness, because we're nonprofits. We're not needed until we're needed. And so if you don't need us, and we learned that during COVID, like people didn't know where to go and where to turn because they've never been in a position where they needed any of the services these nonprofits were providing. So to have people speak our stories and say who we are and that, hey, did you know about this? It's invaluable because it just takes one or two conversations and then the word of mouth train starts, and then it's all about heart and relationships, and that's where the donations come from. But if they don't know that we exist to help these people, the donations won't ever come. The minute that you mention it, they're like, oh, that really resonates with me. I'm going to send them $100 or whatever it is. The donations follow.
Yeah.
But they build trust because of the relationships that individuals have who are telling our story.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I think about, we just opened our first housing center, which is a 90-day shelter for homeless men. And I have to
excited about that.
Yeah,
so excited.
Thank you.
So
But
needed.
it's kind of terrifying to think I'm going to put a shelter in the middle of suburbia. You read all of these terrible things and how the community responds. And so we really took a different approach in involving the community. And they became the biggest advocates because they were telling the story of hope, not devastation. And that really helped also change the stigma and the perception around homelessness. And so storytelling is essential in multiple ways. But for us, it was a story that our community was going to support this and our community was going to accept it because these are homeless men, but they're residents of Lawrenceville. And so we have to care for them. And so without that storytelling piece, I don't think this would have come to fruition because we could have had a lot of the not in my backyard pitchfork moments and we didn't. And so continued storytelling of hope and also just the recovery and stabilization is important because everybody knows somebody or is connected to somebody with a story like that. And
There's
so
no
we
doubt.
want to tell those good stories.
Absolutely. When someone is introduced to a nonprofit, whatever the issue might be, if you hear the introduction that all three of you gave at the beginning of this program today, you would think most people would go, I get it. I want to be involved in that. But that's not always the case. What do you think? What's one misconception people may have about giving back or getting involved in their community through our nonprofits? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I think a lot of it is that I can't afford to give. That there is the misconception that to make impact, you have to be able to write $1 million checks. And it's simply not true. We all work off of shoestring budgets anyway, but the little bits add up. And honestly, the little bits, your monthly giving programs for a lot of the nonprofits, that is just consistency, makes almost bigger impact than the $1 million check does.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you just know it's there and you know that there is that support. So you don't have to be a millionaire to be a giver and to be a community supporter.
Yeah.
A $5 check every month or whatever, a $5 bill that gets slipped in an envelope under the door, it all adds up. And we saw that. I'm going to go back to Jen mentioning COVID and what came of that. It's all those little bits and pieces, and then you're able to change a community and have a great effect because it's just a little bit the friend peer-to-peer giving on Facebook. $5 for your birthday, $10 for your birthday, it all adds up so quickly.
Absolutely, it does.
I would say this may be a little taboo, but like it's
Careful
not,
now.
I know. Maybe it's not my problem.
Yeah.
So sometimes the things that we see with homelessness, it's not my problem. I don't, I'm not connected to that. And if you think about it in those terms, probably so. But if you think about it in terms of what do I have to give? And then also what can I receive from them? Then anybody can get involved. And so we kind of take that approach is that it's not necessarily what you're going to give. What are you going to receive from that person that you connect with and rub shoulders with as you come and do a work day or you donate something? Because we're in people business. I mean, that's what nonprofits are, is people-centered programming to assist people. And so if people could take maybe that approach, I think we could do a lot more good.
And I think it's important for people when they hear about organizations to do some research on their own. And I'll give you a little bit of an anecdotal example, Jen, with your group. When we were just getting the Good Neighbor Project started and your organization came up, I didn't have positive or negative thoughts about what you guys were doing. I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
And as you recall, I came out and we did a visit of the building you just talked about. And I left there going, what a fabulous idea that is. It's needed. It's going to change lives and on and on and on. So for people who are just saying, well, I don't know enough about it to get involved, to do a little research, it could change your mind that quickly to where you not only would get involved, but you could become passionate about it
Yeah.
based on just understanding fully what it is. Uh,
Well, I would say too with I agree with Britt on the monetary part
yeah,
for sure.
you got,
$5 a month.
yeah,
When people support you monthly, you can count on that.
Mm.
When people support you, once a year, we don't know when it's coming and that kind of thing. But for us, really, one of the misconceptions, and it's really just money that we need, and that's not true.
it's not true.
There's goods and services that people provide. I just stopped in on the way here. I stopped into Cool Masters. Shout out to them who support us by helping us with air conditioning, and so they give in-kind donations that way, and they donate their time, and so things like that. But then also the volunteer piece. At Streetwise, we need 25 to 30 volunteers every day
Every day.
to do the work that we have. And if we didn't have them there, those committed ones for sure, we wouldn't be able to do it. We have a small team, a small staff. We can't afford to pay a bigger staff. And so I think a misconception is often that we have this huge staff working on all of these projects. And it's really not. I mean, we have, at Streetwise, we have 6 people and 2 of them are part-time. So we really don't have that piece. So the volunteer piece,
Yeah,
that's another way to give back.
100% it is.
So
And Claudia opened the door for the next question, really. But we again, we all understand that the financial aspect of it is not only important, it's imperative in order for it to succeed. But that aside, Britt, for you and Jen, what do you need most right now? Is it volunteers, awareness, donations, advocacy? What else might it be that you could use help for?
I think it's really taking the time to have an open mind and learn about what we do, and realizing that the officers and the employees are people too. The stories that we can tell of how they have been helped, who they've been helped, money it is pretty. That's a pretty big deal for us because without it, I can't turn around and support. I can't help pay the bills. I can't help with the scholarships. There are bigger ideas on the horizon of how we can help with the wellness of our officers as well. But they need the support. So take the time to learn what we do, follow what we do, come out and just get to know them as people. They're going to be in uniform, sure. But if you take a minute to just ask a question, and I think that's like with either of your organizations too, if you just be curious, that's what Ted Lasso says, right? Be curious.
Be curious, yeah.
Just be curious and ask a question. You're going to learn a lot more. And then there's that education piece. You always fear what you don't know. So take the time to get to know it, and it's not so scary.
Absolutely.
We have a direct, I think, ask in with unrestricted funds. So we get a lot of grant funding that really helps us with the housing, but a lot of people don't understand some of the issues that the men are facing, whether it be medical. They may need a specialist. And so we have to have set aside funds where we can provide those financial means for a man to be able to go and get cancer treatments or get some blood work. So a lot of times, our grant money doesn't cover those specific things. So the more unrestricted funds we have, the more we can serve men.
Sounds good. Well, to use an old radio cliche, I guess, and now a word from our sponsor. What has the partnership through the Good Neighbor Project meant to each of you and your organizations? And Claudia, just start with you if you would.
Gosh, it has first such a sweet surprise. I mean, really, I was a board member when we received this, and so just to know as I stepped into this role, to know that we had such a wonderful support right away, that was such an encouragement. But what you guys have provided with just us being able to use spaces. This year, we're going to be able to host our Christmas store here, and that's incredible.
I saw that, and that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is phenomenal. I mean, Streetwise is doesn't have the space to be able to serve as many people as we'd like. And
Mhm.
so we have to do it over 3 days.
Yeah.
And, so getting volunteers to come in for 3 days and then scheduling all of them to come in. And so, and our motto is a dignity store. We do have the parents pay, but they pay pennies on the dollar for whatever's donated in toys. So that in the that Christmas morning, they can say they purchased their gifts
Yeah.
for their
I love
children. And
that.
so,
I do.
that piece alone is such a big deal because we'll be able to host it on one day. We'll be able to serve more people than we ever have before, and it just takes a huge burden on us hosting it at our place because we're still serving people every day,
Yeah.
and if we have to, usually when we do that, we have to break down and do things and change the way we do, and it just requires a lot more work on our end. So that piece
Absolutely.
alone, and then just the awareness that you guys are
Yeah.
providing for us, the storytelling that we're able to just share the story of Streetwise is really another piece that we're
Perfect.
just so
That's
grateful.
perfect.
So grateful.
Britt?
It's invaluable. Like, it's like a warm hug,
Mhm.
because to know that such a huge organization like Gas South District
Mhm.
wants to come alongside just little old us, you know, and really shine the light on us. And like I said at the beginning, it's an organization that's 26 years old that nobody in the community truly knows exists.
That is so true.
So to be able to, the awareness piece is huge for
Yeah.
us. And your staff has been great. We're going to throw our inaugural gala this year,
Mhm.
and they have come alongside because trying to throw a big gala as a one-person staff
Yeah.
is a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
But you guys have been so great there. And to have the support of volunteers to be able to come out, we don't use them nearly as much as Claudia does. But to just know that that support and that backing is there and
Mhm.
that you believe in us enough to put your name next to ours,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
that you put your reputation right there because you believe in the work that we're doing. That's the $1 million check.
Absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah. Um, I'll tell a little story. I'm a big storyteller, if you can't tell, but what it's meant to me, like I had a pretty rough week last week with just things that we're doing every day in our work, and Michelle sent us an email and said, "I want to drop off a big donation. We've just completed your Amazon wish list." That was above and beyond anything that you guys had told us about what we were going to be partnering
Mhm.
with you on. But it was the best part of my week because it was one less thing to kind of stress you out and think about how are we going to do this. And I think that wrapped it up to me in what you guys are doing is you're setting a precedent for what it means for a business to partner with nonprofits to care for the community
That's
in
perfect.
multiple ways. It's not just financial. It's in little ways that really make our worlds so much better. And so you guys have been wonderful to partner with, and just the promotion, but really just the support. It feels like a hug. It really does.
I like the analogy.
Yeah,
I do like the
it really is.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
So we'll finish it up with like a two-part question for all of us, and then we'll wrap this up. But for each of you, and representing your organization, but what does it mean being a good neighbor to you? And then finish it up with, for our listeners today, that you'd like for them to remember one thing from today's conversation about your organization, and what do you hope that is?
Wow. So I would say being a good neighbor is just being present with
Mhm.
the people in front of you and seeing the need. And I think all of us do that well. When someone comes and just is in such need, and really they're coming from a place where they're hopeless, right? For us to be able to provide that little bit of hope,
Right.
to turn things around for them. I think that that's what a good neighbor does is just,
Mhm.
it's just come alongside, see the need and see how I can help.
Yeah.
And so I love that Gwinnett County is so open to that.
Yeah.
As far as what I would love for people to know, Streetwise is always about loving people and meeting needs. And that's the piece that I love our mission, that we do that. And I think we do that well. And there's a place for everyone
Mhm.
there. And there's
Perfect.
no judgment, and it's a place where you find your dignity and not feel like you're less than because you need help.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Britt.
Being a good neighbor, is doing exactly what you guys did. You showed up before we ever had to come knocking on your door asking. You realized that there was help that was needed and you were willing to provide it. And I think that's being a good neighbor, reaching out to those around you and asking if they're okay and just being there to support them. That's a good neighbor. And to remember from today is that our superheroes in blue aren't invincible. And they need the love and support and encouragement and appreciation just like everybody else does. And they go through rough times just like we do. So just remembering that those men and women in blue are people. And many times they are brothers, they are sisters, they are fathers, they are mothers, they are aunts, they are uncles. There's families at home that are behind them too. So just in the back of your mind, yeah, they look like they're mean tough, but they sometimes need help too.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Jen?
For me, I think being a good neighbor is about responsibility and ownership and taking care of a place or a people. And I have a really good neighbor story. One of my neighbors, him and his wife go walking every day in our neighborhood. And once a month, they will take a trash bag and one of those little tong things that like to pick up trash, and they'll pick up trash throughout our neighborhood. It's a very big neighborhood, but that's them owning the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Not owning their space, their driveway, but the entire neighborhood, and wanting to keep it beautiful, wanting to keep it clean and safe. And that is just the definition and epitome of being a good neighbor, is taking responsibility and doing your part. And so I think for me, if I can leave a lasting impression, that's exactly what we need from Gwinnett. Do your part, find your place where you can serve, and love the people around you.
I love that. So, ladies, as we wrap up today's episode, I do want to extend a sincere thank you to Jen, Britt, Claudia for joining us today and for the incredible work your organization does every day. We appreciate that so much, and thanks for taking the time to be with us today. Your passion, commitment, and dedication to serving others are what make Gwinnett such a special place to be. Through the Good Neighbor Project, we're honored to partner with your organizations that are creating real, lasting impact in our community. To everyone listening today, I hope today's conversation has inspired you to learn more, to get involved, and support these outstanding nonprofits in whatever way you can. Whether that's volunteering, donating, or simply just sharing their stories, every act of support helps strengthen our community. Thank you all today for joining us for this episode of That's the Ticket. Be sure to visit gassouthdistrict.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. You can also find That's the Ticket wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, I'm Stan Hall. See you then, and thanks for listening today.
Thanks for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. For show notes and further information about Gas South District and upcoming events, please visit our website at gassouthdistrict.com. That's the Ticket.